happy hump day, and welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World as we're giving you a double dose of the Prime today. Our first show is our Fantasy Football Weekly show. Hopefully you guys checked out that show. This show is the crossover. We're going to talk about the struggle and the surge. Various teams in the Western Conference. And then we're going to talk about the new awards, their designs, just stuff in general. And then we're going to get into some Go Talk stuff. I think TJ has a good one picked out for today. So looking forward to that content. But yeah, welcome to the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you're looking for consistent content on all the platforms, Prize World World goes live basically every single day. So please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. TJ, happy Wednesday, man. What's up, buddy?
Same old. Nope. Just chilling, just relaxing.
Yeah. It's getting to be a little bit. It's cold and raining here. It's not been the funnest day ever with weather-wise.
No, it's just been a pretty miserable day.
Yeah, I don't think the sun has been out once today. But yeah, something that is going pretty well. We'll talk about some stuff going to the National Basketball Association. We got some other topics we're going to talk about, but not tonight. We're going to leave it to the three topics. First one, let's talk about the surge. When we talk about the struggle and the surge, this is the surge part of that conversation. The surge of the New Orleans Pelicans. They have been balling as of late. They're 18-9, the number one seed in the Western Conference. They're 8-2. in their last 10 games. They also have the highest point differential in the entire conference. There's some stats of some of their key players. Zion, 25-7-4. CJ, 17-5-6. And as a side note, as they've gone on this hot streak, Brandon Ingram has not played a game since November 25th.
Yeah, that's what's scary.
He hasn't played a game since November 25th. And there's some kind of loose talking about Jose Alvarado, potentially sixth man of the year. So let's talk about the Pelicans. Can they keep this up? I think the crazy thing about this is that the Pelicans have done all of this without Brandon Ingram. He's arguably their best player. I know Zion Williamson is a borderline MVP candidate right now, but Brandon Ingram is a really good basketball player, and he hasn't played since November 25th, and they won 8 of their last 2 games without him.
Yeah. So that can go one of two ways, right? When he comes back, you try to force feed it to him so he can get back up to speed and whatnot, and that throws everybody off their rhythm because it's the quote unquote head honcho is back, and we got to make sure we don't phase him out. We got to we got to get him back to where he was.
Well, I think because of Zion, his stature in the NBA, I don't know if that's going to be as difficult and maybe I don't know, because I think Brandon Ingram's going to.
No, the reason I said it is because of his play style. It's not like Brandon Ingram is a catch and shoot guy. This is a ISO ball dominant, ball in my hand player. That's one of the main reasons why he had to get shipped out from the Lakers when LeBron got there, because they wanted the ball in LeBron's hands and not his. So it can work in one of two ways, right? He comes back and they keep on rolling as things are currently constructed, or he comes back and they still play good basketball, but they hit a snag.
They upset the apple cart, as they like to say.
Right. But to your point, Willie Green is too good of a coach to let that happen. I don't think that's going to be the case. He's too good of a coach to let that happen. So I'm not worried about that. Can they keep it up is another question, because you look at some of the other teams in the West, some of the teams that are struggling right now, like the Warriors. The Warriors are 14-14. You don't expect them to stay down for long, do you?
No, right? The Lakers are probably. They've been playing better as of late.
They've been playing better.
Yeah. Memphis is a team. Memphis is still evolved. The fact that they keep the number one seed in the Western Conference, a lot has to go right. In order, I don't think they're going to stay at the number one seed the entire season. even though they do have some really good wins of late. I mean, they beat the Phoenix Suns in back-to-back games, as we'll get to here in a couple minutes here. They beat Denver that game in New Orleans, but they beat a good Denver Nuggets team. They beat a decent Raptor team. They beat the Warriors. They beat down the Warriors 128-83, just a shellacking. But they have lost to some other teams that, they lost to the Celtics. They've lost to the Lakers. They lost to the Utah Jazz, and they play them again tomorrow night.
The loss to Utah is the most recent one. I get that one because I think that's just like one of those situations where
well, you're coming off two highly contested games.
Yeah,
you're also coming off two highly contested games against the Phoenix Suns. Like, you probably were more amped up to play those games than you were to play the Jazz. No offense to them.
And it's styles make fights. Like they have the bigs that can make it kind of hard for Zion. Now, I understand Zion dunked on Walker Kessler. That's because Walker Kessler, he's rookie. He ain't came to his man body yet. So like he let Zion come at it with a full head of steam, and yeah, he put 2 on his head. Like that's what's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. You got 7-footers galore out there in Utah. Like you can just throw length at all their key guys. And not to mention, not only are they missing Brandon Ingram, they're missing Herb Jones on the defensive end too. He's been out too.
Yep.
So like they're doing this without one of their best defenders and arguably their best player, like you said. So it's like how do you respond to that, like that first?
And the other crazy thing is this team can get better than this. Like they have some trade chips that I think other teams would find interesting. Not only do they have a plethora of draft capital, right? They have a Devontae Graham who could be good elsewhere. He doesn't really fit as well in this system. That guy can score. I mean, they got Garrett Temple. They got Kira Lewis, who was a first-round pick not that long ago. Dyson Daniels is a guy who was just recently drafted. Like, they have some ammunition.
And Dyson Daniels, he be in and out of the rotation. Like,
Willie Herman Gomez is another guy. Like, they have some – if they really – Jackson Hayes is another guy that I think has some upside still.
That's the surprising one. Him. Like, that's the surprising one. For like, this was just like Kira Lewis.
The rotation.
Just like him, like Jackson Hayes was a top 10 pick. Like I think he was 10th, yep, and he literally
Kira Lewis was like 13.
Like and Jackson Hayes, he fits their kind of play style. He's young, he's wiry, he's long, he's athletic as all hell. Like when you look at him, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, yeah, that's his name, right? Trey Murphy, that's his name. Yep. Okay, and it's like. Can you imagine like a lockdown lineup of those 3 dudes? Like that is shot blocking, that is rebounding. They are making things very difficult for whoever they play. Like I don't understand why Jackson Hayes is not playing.
I just think that he doesn't really fit next to Zion as well as you might like him to. Yeah, he's only playing 6 minutes a night in a game they didn't win, but they got blown out. He played mostly in garbage time, but he is presented as a trade chip. Like this team could realistically, they could be like, hey,
what would you give up for Jackson Hayes? What would you give up for Jackson Hayes?
A second? Not maybe.
Because he's not worth he's not playing enough to determine.
Yeah, I know, but if you package him with let's say the Devontae Graham, Jackson Hayes, and Kira Lewis, and then maybe you throw in a first-round pick, I think you could entice a team that has a piece that they're like, oh yeah, we don't really need because we're not really going anywhere. I haven't looked at the standings, thinking about who that player could be, but they could legitimately get somebody that helps them get even better this season. Gordon Hayward would be really interesting on this team.
Oh my God!
They could realistically make that trade. I mean, Charlotte's not trying to win.
They could. Like LaMelo Ball just got back tonight. Like it was. Oh, that'd be yeah. Keep an eye out on that.
Let's not rule things out. I mean, they could eventually maybe call up the Chicago Bulls, and if they want to throw all their chip pips to the middle, maybe trade for DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine.
If they get one. If they get one of them two, you might you legit got to take them seriously. And they have the draft capital, they have the assets on their roster to do it.
Trade with contract matching and stuff. Like this team could get better as the season goes on. Like we get closer to the trade deadline, and it's exciting to see New Orleans because they were kind kind of at the bottom there last season. You know, they were still under 500 when they made the playoffs last season, but this is a season where you can tell New Orleans has talent and they're coming for it.
Yeah, and I think that might be like the NBA, like sports loves a great rivalry, right? Like now, great is the objective word here. Yeah, that's a subjective word here. So like, and it's hard to throw up, like it's hard to compare rivalries to others because like some of them were like just that great, where it's like that's what everybody's been looking for. Like, you know, like the Lakers Celtics of the 80s, the Bulls Pistons of the Bulls Pistons, the Bulls Knicks in the 90s, the Bulls Heat in the early 2000s to the 2010s.
The Celtics Cavs. I mean,
Celtics
LeBron and those Kevin
Lakers,
Garnett, Paul Pierce,
Lakers Suns with Kobe. Lakers Spurs, Lakers Suns with Kobe and when Kobe and Nash was going back and forth in the playoffs at each other. Like everybody wants that. Yeah, everybody wants that, and like they're trying to hype up the Pelicans and the Suns as a new rivalry because.
Oh, come on.
No, like every time they play each other, it gets chippy. Like Chris Paul does something to Jose Alvarado that he doesn't like. He literally got caught elbowing Jose Alvarado in the chin the last time they played. And it's like
Chris Paul might be the dirtiest player in the NBA.
Chris ain't no might be. There's no might to it. Like there's like, and what's crazy is Pat Bev tried to like whistleblow this like a couple years ago. And they called him a hater, and like now Pat Bev.
Even Rondo was like a big proponent of this stuff too. So,
oh yeah, and Pat Bev is kind of like just sitting back, like, hey, I tried to tell y'all, but I'm a hater, remember? But I can see that because like again, like we kind of said it last year when they played each other in the playoffs. If this Pelicans team is healthy, like Zion don't get hurt, they took him to 6 without him. Right, like that was a 6-game series without Zion. So if Zion plays, who knows what happens?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah. So like this New Orleans Pelicans they're fun to watch and they're fun to interact with. This is good stuff right here for New Orleans, and they're definitely trending in the right direction. I will be interested to see what they do with like Akira Lewis and Jackson Hayes. Garrett Temple is making some money. Devontae Graham. Like, if they want to make a trade and get better this season, they can.
And they needed this. Like, because to your point, like they need. Like, it's been a lull down there for a few years.
We've been talking about potentially losing their franchise if things.
Right. Like they've been under relocation rumors. Like they've been the Benson family who owns the Pelicans and the Saints. They've been scrutinized because it feels like they only focus on one franchise. Like they have just completely put the Pelicans on the back burner. And the unsung hero in all of this, and he's not being talked about enough, is David Griffin. David Griffin was talking about firing David Griffin.
It's true.
Like seriously.
I even tell that story all the time where he like played the piano for Zion like the first time we ever went to his house. Like it's still a weird thing to do, but yeah, like it's
yeah, it's awkward. It's like it's weird. Awkward. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like it's pretty weird. Especially if you're not expecting it, it's just all of a sudden it's happening. Like it's like, oh, you know.
Yeah, so it's like yes, so that's a thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like okay, like that's something that's happening.
All right, it's all right. That's a thing. But hey, so like okay, so like you don't expect them. Like, do you expect them to keep the number 1 seed?
No.
What do you think they end up? Top 3?
Yeah, I think they're a top four seed in the Western Conference
top
for sure.
4?
I think Memphis eventually jumps them. I think Denver eventually jumps them, and that's it. So I'll put them at 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I have no issue with that.
Where do you got them when it's all said and done? You think?
I think I'm right along with you. Top 4, no lower than 4. Like seriously, like no lower. I expect Memphis to pick things up. I expect Golden State to have some kind of push.
Pick things up. They're tied with them right now. The only reason they have some sort of tiebreaker. Like Memphis by themselves has won 6 games in a row, and they're 8-2 in their last 10 games too. Like,
and it's crazy because it's not being talked about. It's not. Everybody's focusing on New Orleans because they like. I think New Orleans is actually quote unquote ahead of schedule end quote because they're not expecting this because like they're still one of the youngest teams in the league, and they're first in the West. Like their oldest guy on the team is who? Garrett Temple, and he doesn't play, so he doesn't even
Yeah.
factor into.
I mean,
He doesn't.
they're the Memphis Grizzlies of last season.
Oh yeah, they're definitely ahead of schedule. So like Memphis is going to be up there. Golden State's going to make a push at some point, right? They're not going to be 14-4. They're 14-15 because they're losing to the.
I mean, they're only a 4.5 cat. They could easily turn this on, and like Steph Curry's arguably having one of his best seasons ever. So
yeah, absolutely.
Moving on from the surge, let's talk about the struggle. This is the Phoenix Suns. Suns on the opposite side of the New Orleans Pelicans have not been balling lately. They're 16-12. They've fallen all the way down to 4th in the Western Conference. They've lost 5 straight games. Let's see. They lost against the Rockets, the Pelicans, the Celtics, and the Mavericks. A bunch of those games were actually blowout losses. Outside of the Pelicans loss, they got beat down by the Rockets too, which is kind of a blowout. They're 4-6 in the last 10 games. They're still the second highest point differential in the conference at the time of this recording. They're not playing right now, so I guess that'll probably stay there. There's a lot of stuff going on the back end of this team too. The Crowder situation, the Ayton situation, Chris Paul and Devin Booker's health. What the Suns need to do to dig their way out of what is a mid-season funk, if you want to call it mid-season or just early season funk. 5 games in a row is just not a good look. Especially when you get beat down the way they got beat down in a couple of these games. Like Pelicans beat them by 11. The Celtics beat them by 27. The Mavericks beat them by 19. And then they lose to the Rockets, who arguably have the worst. They have the worst record, third worst record in the NBA, 4th worst record, worse in the Western Conference at 9-18. Devin Booker didn't play in that game, but still.
Yeah. So they play the Bulls. Devin Booker drops 51 in 3/4, and everything's great. The sun is shining, literally. And Devin Booker, they're talking trash and all this other good stuff. It's a good time. It's a good time. Then you hit this stretch, and it's not such a good time. You play the Celtics, nationally televised game. The only highlight that you had from that game was the yo-yo pass that Chris Paul, the yo-yo dribble that Chris Paul had, and the assist that came with it. Like other than that game was all Boston the whole time, and this was a potential like that had they hyped that up because it's like that's we could see these 2 things in the finals, and I don't think Boston. I don't think Phoenix will want to see Boston in the finals. I don't think
many teams want to see Boston in the finals. Like they have the best record in the NBA. I mean, come on.
I don't think Phoenix can beat Boston in the finals. Like
they can't beat Milwaukee either. Can they beat the Cavs? I don't know. Can they beat Brooklyn? I don't know.
We will get to Brooklyn. Yes, we will. Not today, but we'll get to them.
We'll for sure get to them next week.
Yeah, it's like now again, like New Orleans gets up to play this team, obviously because this is the team that knocked you out of the playoffs last season, and I get it. Regular season games don't really exact revenge, quote unquote, to avenge a playoff loss, right? Like
true, because I mean we're talking about the Bulls used to beat the Heat all the time in the regular season and then just get destroyed in the playoffs.
Like one outweighs the other like no other. I don't know what's going on in Phoenix. Like I get it. Like you can't say like the noise is starting to get to them because all that stuff is really quieted down. Like,
all the Sarver stuff is kind of just on the back burner. I mean, he's going to sell the team. It's really irrelevant at this point.
It is.
I think the bigger issue is the Jake Crowder situation because he was important to what they did last season. He was a starter on this team, and now they just have a boy.
Just doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there. Like You got to
I mean,
ask yourself, where did it go wrong?
you get mentioned in trade rumors, you just shut down. Like this is the NBA, like for real. Like,
Like you got to ask, just for you to come out and demand one eventually. Like so, like you got to ask yourself, where did it go wrong with him? Right? Like I don't understand. Like to your point, like this is a business. You have to be treated as such. No, there's like no such thing as a there is, but like there's really no such thing as a guaranteed contract. Like they can cut you and be done with you in a minute.
I mean,
So like
not in
there's
the
no
NBA.
such thing.
I mean
Yeah,
that money's fully guaranteed. But well, how you get it, if they can use stretch provision or whatever, you're still gonna get all your money.
but it's like I'm not talking about the money aspect. I'm talking about the contract. I'm talking about like the contract itself,
Oh,
right?
okay,
Like if
sure.
that like that's what I'm talking about. Like if you sign a like if I so like you get offered like a 4-year contract, they can say they can be like, hey, oh, after 2 years, this ain't working. We'll just waive you and give you whatever else you're owed, and you can go elsewhere. Like that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you're gonna get your money, but the length of that contract is what be tying people up. Like so, it's like, and Bradley Beal told that to his AAU team. I talk about that all the time. He like they gonna wait. They can give you the money and just say bye. Like if you ain't doing what you got to do. Like I don't understand this. I legit thought that the DeAndre Ayton situation would be way worse, and you really haven't heard too much about that either, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
I don't. I think that was mostly overblown as it was.
Think
Anyway,
so?
like I don't know. I think because I think once they actually started playing basketball, I think a lot of that stuff was going to blow over. Like, sure, there was like a lot of that. Like once they actually started playing basketball, I think before, like in the off season, I think there was some lingering resentment. But I think once you actually start playing, and this team has been fairly successful this season. The last 5 games have kind of an outlier for what their season has been, because before this stretch, they were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Let's not play around. And they were beating some good teams.
Yeah, they were.
I just think that this is like one of those stretches of the season where you're a Phoenix Suns team. You're kind of expecting to go deep in the playoffs or whatever. You just kind of hit a lull in the regular season where it's just like, oh, I don't really feel like doing this. And they're dealing
And
with some injuries. Devin Booker's been kind of banged up. Chris Paul's missed some time. He's only played 14 games of a possible 26, whatever the number is. And Cameron Johnson's been hurt as well. He's a big factor off their bench. And those things just kind of take a toll on your depth and your versatility.
but at the same time, like this is like you want to be a good team, you want to be a championship contender, you want to be taken seriously and be labeled in the upper echelon of the NBA. This is what you go through,
Yeah,
right? Like
but I think
this
they
is
have the players on the team to
because like
go.
no, like
I mean,
like
Lonnie
no,
Williams is one of the better coaches in the league. I mean, you got Chris Paul there, who's basically the player leader. Like,
but really think about it, right? Like the Bucks have been good for how long?
4 years, 5,
Maybe longer, right? Give or take,
something like that. Yeah,
give or take. The Warriors have been good. Like we already know about the Warriors, they've been good for the better part of a decade,
yeah.
right? So like again, like you want to be if you want to be in that conversation, you want to be taken seriously. Yeah, you're gonna go through moments like this. You're gonna be 16-12, and you're gonna go from first to fourth or fifth in the West. You're gonna have multiple 5-game losing streaks or four in your last win 4 out of your last 10 games, 5 out of your last 12, 13 games. You're gonna go through that. How you respond to that is what makes the greats great.
Yep.
Like
I don't disagree with any of that. The points you just made.
so it's like you want to blame injuries and all this other stuff. The Bucks spent the first 2 months of the season without their second best player.
True.
Like I don't like so you can't really say, oh well, this guy's out, this guy's banged up. Well, first off, Chris Paul been banged up, stay banged up.
Yeah, it's true.
So at this point, if you can't adjust to Chris Paul being out of the lineup, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, the backup point guard has kind of been a bit of a problem for this team as it is, anyways. I mean, because they haven't gotten anything out of Cameron Payne, like what they thought about. I know he's averaging like 13 points a game, but the games that he doesn't start, he really kind of seems to struggle and kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit there. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, this 5-game losing streak, I think is just an outlier for what their season will be. I still expect them to be,
Yeah, I still expect
top.
them to be there at the end of the day, like
Yeah,
when it's all said and done. Yeah.
but I think that the longer this Jake Crowder situation lingers, because he's eaten into a bunch of their cap space. I just looked up their numbers. So he's making
Okay.
$10 million right now, and
Mm.
that's a $10 million crater that's doing nothing with your team. They could waive him and get $5 million in cap space, but that doesn't really do a lot for a team that's over the cap anyways. You're not gonna be able to sign
Anyway,
anybody off. You're not gonna be able to sign anybody off the street. I think they should probably be looking to trade that Jake Crowder contract, but I'm not sure what you can get
what
back
you
for
can
him.
get for them?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
what
you
do
may
you get
want to
for
take.
them?
I don't know. I mean, you may want to package some of these other expiring deals, and like Dario Saric isn't expiring, but then you're just hurting your depth just to get a piece, and I'm not really sure what you can get with that either. So I don't know. I mean,
It's
the
tough.
Jay Crowder situation needs to be figured out because either he comes back to the team or you trade him away. You
Well,
can't go the whole season like this.
the reason I said the Aiden situation could have been worse because you basically scapegoated him in
Sure.
that Maverick series. So you can't you could have easily like said like no we were bad we and you basically singled out him, pointed the finger at him and said like he's unhappy, he doesn't want to be here, yeah yeah woo woo. And so it's like, and you waited until the 11th hour to match, not offer, to match his contract situation, right? And you always said like you said the whole summer, if another team has to offer me a deal for you to offer me a deal,
Yeah.
you got to trade me.
And yeah,
Like you,
I did think that. I think that situation would be more bigger than it has been. But yeah, I just I think once you start
man.
playing games, you start winning. I think
Oh
winning
wow.
cures a lot.
Oh, we just,
Even though
okay.
he would be crazy good in Indiana right now.
He would. And I just got some breaking news. It's college related, but I just touched like UCLA's move to the Big Ten has cleared. So 2024 UCLA will be in the Big Ten. That's all I wanted to.
Wow. Moving on to the second to last category on today's show, award rebranding. So we
Mm.
got some brand new awards in the NBA because the NBA has nothing better to do right now.
Nothing better to do. Nothing at all.
For real. First of all, the Michael Jordan Award has replaced the MVP trophy, and the stats on this award and how much thought they put into creating it is just absurd. Like you can see some of the numbers on the wear there. It's the 5-sided base to represent 5 MVPs, the 6-sided nameplate to represent the 6 titles he won, the 23.6 height and weight represents the number and the titles, and it's got the 23 faceted crystal ball, which also represents his number, 15-degree angled base. I cannot remember his 15-season career. For the Michael Jordan Trophy, the Jerry West Trophy is now they added a new Clutch Player Award, which, I guess that's a little subjective for me, but I'll be interested to see how they give it out. Hakeem Olajuwon, Defensive Player of the Year. Wilt Chamberlain is now the Rookie of the Year. John Havlicek is the Sixth Man of the Year. And George Mikan is the Most Improved Player of the Award. What do you think about these NBA rebranding? The trophies, if you haven't seen them outside of this Michael Jordan one, actually look pretty good. But yeah, thoughts. I think also the Coach of the Year one has been rebranded to. It's named after Red Auerbach, right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no. That's the only one they haven't changed. But yeah.
No, I saw a picture of it looking different, but maybe not. But yeah, so all of the end of season awards have all gotten a rebrand, a little bit of a facelift, and now they're named after somebody. So what's your thoughts on? First of all, let's talk about what you think is the most interesting choice there.
The most interesting one is easily the Jerry West trophy, because the definition of clutch literally is constantly moving, right? So like if you score any bucket that you score within like the last 2 minutes of a game, that's considered clutch, right? Like that's a clutch bucket in a so it's like, how do you define clutch? Like, is it the buckets that you scored during the last 2 minutes? Is it the game winning shots? Is it free throws that you hit in a nip and like how do you? Is it a block? Like what if you get a what if you get what if you get a what you call it, a game saving block, a game saving steal, a game saving rebound, like that kind of thing. Like what happens? Like what is that? Like how do you define what's clutch and what's not?
And I just think it's interesting that they picked Jerry West of all people to be he's already the logo, and Jerry West, I know he's the only player to ever win a Finals MVP while losing the Finals.
While losing.
But he went to the Finals 9 times. He only won 1 ring. Like how clutch is that? I don't really know. Like I didn't know that all of this is super subjective. But I guess I would have rather have seen like Robert Horry get this award, like naming it after Robert Horry, the most clutch player of the year. And are they just going to give this out for the regular season? Because being clutch has more to do with being in the postseason than it does in the regular season. So I don't know. So I love the design of the Michael Jordan Award. I love the paying homage to arguably the greatest player of all time.
Like that's the first thing that came to my mind. It's like it's giving flowers to those who deserve it. Like Michael Jordan is like you said, Michael Jordan is heralded as the greatest player ever. Right? Michael Jordan is heralded as the greatest player ever. This is the first award that's named after him. Right, like think about it, like he's not the logo because there's been petitions to make him the logo. There's been petitions to like get something for him, right? And he finally gets one. Hakeem Olajuwon for Defensive Player of the Year, like he only won it twice, but I think he's also one of the league leaders in blocks like all the time. I don't know where he ranks in blocks.
League leader in all-time blocks at 3,800, basically 3,800. So all-time leader in blocks. 9-time all-defensive team too as well.
So okay, that does make sense because everybody's like, how could Hakeem Olajuwon get that? He's only won the award twice. You got guys like Ben Wallace who's won it 4 times, Rodman's won it 4 times, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the man has 3,800 career blocks. That's why.
Wilt Chamberlain, he won the Rookie of the Year and the MVP the same year. The same year, he averaged 38 points a game and 27 rebounds.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, man. Like everybody's like, oh, that should have went to Magic. Like Magic already has an award named after him, so and they just made it. So you're not going to give Magic Johnson 2 awards. Same thing with Larry Bird, right?
And then John Havlicek earned 4 All-Star nods while coming off the bench. He won 8 championships.
Coming off the bench.
He has more All-Star nods than anybody coming off the bench.
Like the man won 8 championships coming off the bench. Right. Like, do you know how?
4 All-Star berths too as well.
And like, do you know how good though? Like that's how stacked. So that's why Jerry West is 1-9 in the finals. Like
that's true. It's true. And then the pride of Joliet, Illinois, George Mikan, basically the league's first true superstar. Inaugural season, 49-50. First ever championship for the Lakers. Averaged 31 points a game throughout the playoffs. Most improved player there.
Yeah, so like
I got no problem with it. Like paying homage to these players that kind of get forgotten about, like George Mikan, like that's John Havlicek. Both those guys kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit. You talk
like
about
there's an entire hook drill named after George Mikan. There's an entire drill that you can do named after George Mikan. Like, and you just literally work on your left and your right hand layups. That's it.
I mean, the award has him doing a layup. Like it's perfect.
Yeah,
like
it's perfect.
I like this paying homage to the history of the NBA. Do I think the NBA needed to do this? Probably not.
Probably not. No,
I do enjoy it, and the Michael Jordan Trophy looks awesome. Just throwing it out there.
I think the next thing to happen is I think they eventually will change the logo. I don't know to who, but I
don't think so.
No, they'll do it.
I don't think so.
Because Jerry West has already come out and said that he has no problem if they change the logo.
I think that it's become so important for branding. I don't think they will.
So you saying like a logo change might throw people off? Like it's
I just don't think there's a need for it.
Okay.
I'll be 100% wrong, but I just don't think the need is there to change the logo.
Oh, you bet.
But yeah, moving on from there, let's talk about GOAT Talk, TJ. And if you don't already know, we're going to be shining some players on some, giving some shine to some players that didn't get a shine on their NBA career. This is never going to be the LeBron versus Mike. This is going to be the lesser known NBA players going up against each other. And we're going to pick who we would rather have their careers all time. TJ, player one.
Player one was a second round draft pick out of Michigan State. Drafted in 1995. Second round, 43rd overall in 1995. Played from 95 to 2008. He was a guard. Played for the Sonics, the Cavs, and the 76ers. No particular order. Just played for those three teams.
You say Sonics, Cavs, Magic, and 76ers?
Sonics,
or Heat?
Cavs, 76ers. That's it. Just those three. Was an NBA All Defensive Second Teamer in 2003. Won the Sportsmanship Award in 2000, and the J. Walter Kennedy Citizenship Award in 2005, which actually is a big deal in the NBA. I'm not saying it's up there with the Walter Payton Man of the Year award in the NFL, but it's kind of in the echelon of that. It gives you that kind of vibe. Career 5,791 points, so that's basically 7 points a game. 4,245 assists, that's 5 a game, and 975 steals, that's 1.2 steals a game. He's also a coach right now. Started off at SMU, so that's Southern Methodist University, then Florida Atlantic as an assistant. Now he's with the Texas Legends, that's the Dallas Mavericks G League affiliate.
All right. I gotta give me something else on this.
It's crazy. He was drafted by the Bucks but never played for him. So he was like a draft day deal. He was literally traded that night to Seattle.
Michigan State. I have no idea.
Player one is Eric Snow. Remember Eric Snow?
Yeah, of course I remember Eric Snow. Okay. I thought Eric Snow played on. I thought Eric Snow had a ring.
Mm-mm. They went to the finals, but they ran into the Lakers. Remember?
Yeah. I thought he was. I don't know. I thought he won a ring. I thought he was part of that Heat team.
No, he never played for them.
It's like their backup or something. But I guess not. Okay. Eric Snow. Interesting.
Which Heat team are you talking about?
The first Dwayne Wade team. I could have sworn
that was Gary Payton.
I could have sworn Eric Snow was on it too. But I guess not.
No, that was Gary Payton. Gary Payton, because Jay Will was the starter. Gary Payton was the backup.
I remember. I just thought Eric Snow was on that roster for some reason. Okay.
So player two was also a second round draft pick out of 1990, back in 1998, out of Fresno State. Yeah, Fresno State.
Okay.
Was also drafted by the Bucks. Played from 98 to 2012. Played for the Bucks, the Raptors, the Heat, Rockets, Magic, Nets. He had multiple stints on the same team, so I'm just combining them into ones. So he played for the Heat. He had 2 stints with the Heat. He had 2 stints with the Heat, and he had 2 stints with the Raptors. So that's staying the same.
All right.
So career points 6,799. So that's 10 a game. 1,891 rebounds. That's 2.8 or 3 rebounds a game. And assists is 3,202, which is 4.8 or 5 assists a game. Oh wow! I didn't know he had all this. Damn, he was in trouble. Well, not a lot, but.
Okay, you got anything else? awards.
No, he didn't win anything. Didn't win anything. Didn't win anything. But he's definitely well known. I'll leave it at that. He's a he's a well known player. He's well known in the NBA. He's well known on the asphalt, so like the neighborhood courts. Like, yeah,
This is gonna kill me when you tell me who it is. Is it Jared? No, it can't be. It's not Jared Jack, is it?
it's not Jared Jack. No,
This is gonna kill me when you tell me who it is.
player 2 is Ray for Austin. Skip to Malou, who's probably known more for his street ball career than he is his NBA career.
Well, I mean, he was really good on that Magic team that went to the finals after he came in for Jameer Nelson.
Yeah, he was. But he's a street ball legend, bro. Like, he's a playground legend, bro. Like, he really is.
I have seen those videos. Yeah, I'm taking Ray for Austin. I don't think this is all that close. To be totally honest with you.
You don't think so?
No, I think offensively, I think Ray for Austin. I mean, obviously Eric Snow is a better defender, but Ray for Austin elevated teams he was on, especially like that Magic team he went to after Jameer Nelson one hit. Well, he got hurt. Yeah. So yeah, give me Ray for Austin. I always felt like Eric Snow kind of held back those Philadelphia Sixers teams with AI. Like I just kind of always felt that way, offensively at least.
Well, I can't say that because like he.
And I know he's played his role to a T.
Right,
like
they
needed a guy that was going to be the exact opposite of Allen Iverson, and Eric Snow played that role to a T. I just think that I just think he held those teams back a little bit. If they had a different player at point guard, I think they could have gone a little bit further, even though they didn't go to the finals.
I can't say because he, like you said it, like he did exactly what they asked him to do. Like he was the calming. Like he was like, all right, slow down. No need for that. Let's run some offense. AI, I know you're great, but we gotta slow this down a little bit. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. So Eric Snow, outside of the first 4 years of his career, outside the first 4 years of his career and the last year of his career, played 50 or more games every year. So 43, 67, 17, he must have got hurt in 97, 98, or was that the lockout? Nope, not the lockout. Then 48 again, 82, 50, 61, 82, 82, 81. So he was durable like no other. Like it's when you play in all 52 and you start all 52, like that's that's good.
I mean, even down the stretch. I mean, his last couple, he started all 82 games at 06, 07, 05, 06 for Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, he had a productive career. Nothing to hang his hat on. I think I would rather have Ray for Austin. I think he was a better player, high-end player than Eric Snow was.
And I think the one thing that we tend to overlook with these guys is like the amount of minutes they played. Or they did all this. Like they did all this work playing 82 games in 5, 6, 7, 8 straight seasons while playing 35, 38 minutes a game. Like Ray for Austin,
38 minutes a night in Houston that season.
Like my God,
40, basically 39 minutes a night.
Then you go to the playoffs in 2007, right? 2007 with Houston, he averaged 44 minutes a game. When do you rest? Halftime? That's it.
Yeah. I mean, Eric Snow's playoff minutes are pretty absurd too. I mean, 30 that 99, basically 38 minutes a night. But yeah, I'm gonna go Ray for Austin on this conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have an issue with that. Like these, these minutes are.
But yeah, that's been the crossover, the struggle, and the surge. On today's episode, we broke down the surge of the New Orleans Pelicans and the struggle of the Phoenix Suns. We talked about the new awards in the NBA, and then we did, of course, our staple of every crossover, the GOAT Talk. I've been David Hupp, and right there is my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, and before we go, Brittany Griner, welcome home.
Absolutely.
Happy to have you back. And thoughts and prayers to Steven Silas, who lost his father, I think, 2 days ago now? So yeah, thoughts and prayers to the Silas family. Paul Silas was a legend in NBA circles. I'm like, when I got the notification that he passed, I'm like, Paul Silas, where have I heard that name? Where have I heard? I looked it up. Oh, he was like one of the first coaches when Jordan brought the Hornets back to Charlotte when they were started off as the Bobcats. And I'm like, oh, that's who that is. I'm like, oh wow.
And
I'm like,
and not to
good,
end the show on a little bit of a damper, but yeah, I meant to mention this on Monday's show.
right?
But just our thoughts out to the family of Mike Leach, who passed away on
Yeah,
Monday. Family and friends, it's tough. We were all hoping that he was going to pull through, but obviously didn't work
yeah.
out that way.
I was at the gym. And all of a sudden, like, I got my headphones in, and I see like on the TV across the way, and I'm like, wait. I'm like, no. No, he didn't. And I go to a TV that's closer. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, it happened.
That's
It happened
sad.
fast. But yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow doing games of the week. I'll probably just run that with music because I am a little bit busy tomorrow. So we'll see how things end up shaking out. I've been David Huffman right there with Chicha Hopkins, and we will see you all later. Peace out, guys.
See you, man.